It has some weird pulsing sensation when you fully depress the accelerator. So I'm going to time this one as well, but just keep your eye on the kilowatt output there. Just keep in mind my foot is going to be planted to the floor. I'll tell you when I release it. In the market for a cheap and cheerful runaround, you might want to check out this. It's the new MG3. It looks like a cross between a Mercedes A-Class and a Mazda 2, in a good way, showcasing neat proportions and a somewhat sporty vibe. Compared with the previous model, this is a fair bit bigger. It's 58mm longer overall, with 50mm added to the wheelbase to open up cabin room, and 68mm wider. The roof height is 2mm lower, giving you some idea of its lower and wider stance. Here we're testing the second from the top Excite Hybrid. Yep, this plucky compact car is now available with a hybrid powertrain. More on that later. Servicing costs are a smidge higher with the hybrid, but only just. It remains front-wheel drive, but features a unique 3-speed hybrid auto transmission. The Excite wears these 16-inch alloy wheels, wearing 195/55 Kumo tyres. Better than the previous Gitti tyres in our opinion. It's also good to see MG has fit some disc brakes at the rear, replacing the old drum brakes. This should improve stopping distances, particularly with repetitive performance and endurance. The interior has also received a major makeover. It kind of blends some of the elements from the smart MG4, with a simplistic approach for the twin digital screens, reduced physical buttons, and a good array of storage options. Material quality is improved drastically, with this example featuring multiple tones and textures. Unfortunately, you can't pull the steering column out, it only moves up and down. However, the driving position is decent anyway, so you shouldn't need to move it around too much. These seats in the front provide good comfort and support, although they seem a bit soft on the lower cushion, with some signs of the fabric already stretching and sagging on this test car. Rear passenger space is pretty good for this class. And you even get rear climate vents, which are very rare in this segment, along with a USB charging port. More of that multi-tone trim is carried through. There is no flip-down armrest or pockets in the back of the front seats. Up at the back, the boot volume has actually decreased from 307 litres to 293. However, we suspect it could be due to different measuring systems, as this does look bigger. The space expands to 983 litres with the rear seat folded. Strangely, the rear seat is not split fold, but features 3 baby seat anchor points. Under the floor you won't find a spare wheel, only a puncture repair kit. So what about that engine? The hybrid system pairs a 1.5 litre petrol 4-cylinder with a 1.83 kWh battery and electric motor. Combined, the combo produces a very impressive 155 kilowatts, making it the most powerful non-performance model in its class. Fuel economy is rated at just 4.3 litres per 100 kilometres on the average cycle. However, we found it quite difficult to get near that in the real world. Out on the road, it actually feels like a decent quality vehicle. There's no major squeaks or rattles. I'm on a very rough country road at the moment. It all is holding together quite nicely. Aside from the beautiful big plastic dashboard we've got here, scratchy plastic, yeah, I think you're getting good value for money in terms of build quality. In terms of the ride and handling, yeah, this is miles ahead of the previous generation. The suspension is now more capable of handling bumps mid-corner, and it's just got better compliance. It still is a bit soft and a bit floppy, but that's this style of vehicle anyway. To give you an example though, on the way out to the private road where we do the testing, there's this winding section, and on one corner, it's a 100 km/h speed zone. There's this bump that's perfectly positioned on the inside of the corner, and almost every single car I go around, it definitely unsettles the vehicle and just, yeah, puts it into a bad situation. So it's interesting to see how vehicles handle. This actually done quite well. It caught the bump and then regained compliance and composure fairly quickly. It still has a little bit of a bounce there, but definitely way better than the previous generation, and a lot better than some of the other cheaper models on the market at the moment. So I think they've done really well with this ride and handling setup, again, for this style of vehicle. If you're expecting hot hatch type of handling, you're not going to get it from this. As for the powertrain, it's got some weird surging and inconsistent acceleration habits. So sometimes you put your foot down and it gives you a lot of the electric power to give it a boost from low down, and then the petrol engine cuts in. But other times it'll kind of limit the acceleration. You'll see in the performance testing in a minute where it just capped the output. You've got a little output readout here. It just capped it at about 40 kilowatts for no reason, even though I've got my foot flat to the floor. The next run I didn't change anything, and it gave me the full, 130, 140 kilowatts. So a weird calibration setup, I think, or even more tuning is probably needed. In terms of the 0 to 100 though, it's actually very impressive. You'll see in a minute that it's not far off proper hot hatch territory actually. On the open road like this, you can overtake very easily, and you get that instant response from the electric component, and then it's giving you reasonable economy. I'm averaging 5.9, which is not that good. I did just do the performance testing though, so you could probably get, I think it was just saying 5.6 before the performance testing. I think, some of the Toyota hybrids, I know I always refer to Toyota hybrids, but I just think they're been around the longest in the hybrid game. They seem to do it better. They really do. Some of the RAV4s and Camrys and things, you can get into the 4s with those, whereas this 5.9 or 5.6 I saw before I did the performance testing, it's not that impressive really for such a small little car. That shouldn't detract from the overall, interesting and innovative approach that MG has taken here. I think they've done quite well, especially in Australia, where hybrids are very rare in this lower end of the market segment. You've got 3 different drive modes to choose from, and then you've also got engine regeneration modes, 3 different modes there. So you can put it on medium or even high, and you've almost got one pedal driving. It'll actually slow the vehicle down quite a bit with my foot off both pedals. I like to have it on low because it's a bit, I don't know, almost a bit too much tension. I like to roll a little bit during my driving. So having it on low, it just helps it roll along and maintain speed. And then down here you've got 3 different drive modes as well: eco, normal and sport. In sport mode you can definitely feel that the throttle response is sharpened up. You only need to move the throttle just a little bit and you'll get decent pickup. Alright, let's head out now and do the performance test and see what it goes like. Apologies about the camera being so close to the screen. As I said, you can't move the steering wheel column out, it only goes up and down. The whole time. That was 7.34. It has some weird pulsing sensation when you fully depress the accelerator. So I'm going to time this one as well, but just keep your eye on the kilowatt output there. Just keep in mind my foot is going to be planted to the floor. I'll tell you when I release it. drops off quite a bit. Still floored, the pedal is to the floor. It's only giving me 40 kilowatts. And it seems to just run out of puff at about 130. Taking off the accelerator. Really weird. I don't know why it doesn't give you just full power the whole time. I've got stability and traction control completely turned off, and I'm in sport mode. Even so, it is pretty quick across the 0 to 100, but then the quarter mile is just impacted by this weird pulsing sensation and the fact that it doesn't give you full power beyond kind of 120 kilometers an hour. I'll do the 60 to 110. Still nailed into the ground, but it's just limiting again. Backing off. By the way, I've also got the overspeed warning turned off just in case it is limiting my speed, but I'm just looking around to see if there's actually a speed limiter as well in the settings. Seem like there is any speed limiter. It just has an overspeed warning, which I've turned off. You can see with the speed sign there, it turns the whole system off. So again, it would be good if you could have the speed zone display without the warning going off. For example, I went through a school zone before when it was in the middle of the day and the lights weren't flashing, so it wasn't actually a school zone period. But this was telling me 40 kilometers an hour, and then a warning kept going off because I was going 60 kilometers an hour. So it'd be good to have that showing the speed recommendation or speed limit sign, the last one it recognized, but without the warning going off. Whereas this, you can only turn it off completely. I'll do it again just to make sure, and I'll time this one again with the Vbox. Everything is turned off. It's in sport mode. Yep. It doesn't seem to be quicker when you brake hold the car either. It just prefers, like a lot of EVs, it just prefers it if you just nail the throttle. Really start to pick up after 60 kilometers an hour. Then it backs off, gives you another pulse. That one was a bit better actually, it's continuing. It's really weird. Now it's backing off. Just check the top speed actually, because that felt like it actually ran into the sort of top speed limiter of 160, but that kept going the whole time that time. So it's very weird, sort of inconsistent acceleration. That was a little bit quicker, that run too, 7.07, and it got the full quarter mile quicker, about a half a second quicker than the original 16 seconds. This one was 15.6.